Hi everyone, it's Thursday afternoon, July 2nd. This is Father Neil back with my weekly update. First of all, we've had a great week this past week. We reopened last weekend with public masses Saturday night at 5 and Sunday morning at 10, and they were quite successful. And so we will be continuing that. In fact, this weekend we will be opening it up to 75 people each. We're removing reconciliations back to the normal time Saturday at 4 o'clock from 4 to 4:45, and then follow that with the Mass at 5 o'clock. We're going to open that up. You still have to register for all that. And if all goes well, we're actually planning to have daily Mass, not this Monday, but opening July 13th, Monday and Wednesday at the normal time. We're still looking to get more volunteers. So to register to attend any of these events, any of these celebrations, or to volunteer, please go to our website or call the rectory to get signed up. We had a wonderful graduation last night. 17 of our kids graduated. They were all present with their parents, so not the way we used to do things, but still quite successful. We wore masks and they had social distance, physical distancing, and only the parents were allowed because of the small numbers. But the important thing is that we're all together and the children were able to get a celebration, receive their diplomas, and that's all been videotaped that they'll be able to watch. So that's quite a good thing. The staff and I have been meeting about several other things. We are still waiting on direction from the Catholic Schools Office. We should have that in another week or so about what the August opening will be. School is scheduled to start, on August 20th. And we hope to have something long before then to figure out what we need to do to have in place. And along with that, then, of course, we'll be opening the faith formation and religious ed programs as well. So if we can get sufficient volunteers and the country continues, or at least the state continues to be on track, we hope that we will get back to not normal. This new normal is kind of odd for all of us, but wearing the masks, using the hand sanitizer, doing the physical distancing, really helps to make a big difference. We've seen that with the gross irresponsibility in other parts of the country where they flock to bars and they flock to beaches and they've hung out together without masks, and now the number of new cases is spiking tremendously. In fact, it was over 50,000 people for the first time yesterday, I believe, for one day. And so these other governors are pulling back. And of course, we're finding a startling, shocking fact that something like 35% of the new cases or something like that is in people from the ages of 25 to 34. So very dangerous, and that's why it's important, as much as we don't like it, to continue to practice those safety measures, and we'll continue to try to implement them here at the church. And it's really important, too, from a different perspective. I mean, obviously none of us like it. We have our freedoms curtailed, so to speak, our movements curtailed, and none of us like it. And I'm a former runner. I hate wearing a mask, but we have a responsibility. I have a greater responsibility to the common good. So Jesus tells us, don't worry about your rights, worry that make sure that you're giving justice to others. And so that is a call to give up our right to ourselves, and that's really what the cross is all about. He gave up his right to himself. Came down from heaven, gave up his divinity, at least to be in our human nature for a while on earth, and then died on the cross after healing people and reconciling people and forgiving people, and did that for all of us. And so it was total self-giving on the cross. And yet so many of us are worried about wearing a mask. Oh, that's too much effort. It's too inconvenient. Really? What is the life of your neighbors, your parents, worth? There's always a balance between public safety and individual freedoms. This country, unfortunately, in my opinion, it's not a theological opinion, it's just a personal observation, has gone too far in the sense of it's all about my rights and not about the responsibilities that go with those rights. Not just in the civil, but also in the church arena, the factions in the church which are devastating. Jesus prayed that we all may be one as he is one with the Father. And that should be a focal point of our unity, to try to see what is not what I want, but who we all are. He also said, love your neighbor as yourself. So it's not about getting what I want all the time, right? So all these things are deep spiritual reflections, not on the politics of the country, but on the reality of what it means to be in community what it means to take care of one another and be responsible for one another. We have a holiday weekend coming up as well. I hope that you all have a wonderful 4th of July. But again, we've had all this incredible violence, had all this incredible upheaval. Part of it, I think, is because we're all been cooped up too long and people need an outlet for their frustrations. Part of it is, of course, political in nature. But it's not good for the common good. It's not good for the culture to have that kind of violence, to have that kind of unrest and that public discord. You know, while we all know that certain things that certain police officers have done that we've seen on the videos are reprehensible, but remember that most police officers, all of them really that I know, find that reprehensible, would never do it. We need to stand behind our police officers, all of our public servants, demand reform where they are, but these guys and gals are working overtime. Again, all of their holidays and their time off and days off have been canceled, so they can be out there. They're working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week right now to keep us safe and to try to minimize that, and yet so much of the culture vilifies them. So reforms, yes, were needed, but they're the good guys, as you and I try to be the good guys. And so it's important to remember the common good. And the problems in the neighborhoods and the problems in the cities won't go away overnight. We can talk about all the investment that we want and all the healthcare stuff that we'd like to do, and that's all true and necessary. But it's not going to make any difference today to the violence, to the bloodshed, to the problems that are happening now. And so we pray for them. We certainly want to support all of our public officials, even when we disagree with them. Continue to work together for the common good. It's not about me, it's not about you. It's who we are collectively as a church, as a community, as a parish, as a nation. It's very important that we keep that in focus. So we're reopening our parish. We obviously have a lot of concerns here, getting volunteers to open things up, how we're going to do some of our events for the school and the religious ed and faith formation programs. Certainly many of you are struggling still financially, as is the parish. How are we going to make all that happen? Don't know yet. We're working hard to try to figure it out. We are looking together to open up for, we're going to have the rites of initiation sometime, as soon as we can figure out a good time to do that and how to bring the people in from the Easter Vigil into the church. And certainly we're planning on doing First Communion sometime late this summer, early fall. We've just sent out a survey to the families to see what their ideas are. We'll probably have to have more than one service because we simply can't have that many people in church. But the more volunteers we have, the more people that do sign up to help out, the more people that sign up to come to Mass, shows that we are succeeding in getting back there, and then we can add more Masses and become back the community that we have been before. And then, of course, then when the fall comes around, we may be able to add our social events back into the calendar as well, because we all need that social event. So stay safe, stay healthy, wear a mask, have a good time, enjoy the holiday, but please keep all of our first responders and all of our healthcare personnel in your prayers, and also all the children and people in those communities that are plagued by the violence, that are victims, and that certainly they need to be prayed for and cared for as well. So God bless you all, and I hope to see you this weekend at church.